You've heard it, right? That old chestnut about how we only use 10% of our brains. It's everywhere. It's the whole idea behind blockbuster movies and a ton of self-help books. They all dangle this amazing idea in front of us, that we have this vast, sleeping giant of potential just waiting to be woken up. It's a pretty cool thought, but is there any truth to it at all? So let's get right to it. Is it for real? Is a full 90% of our most powerful, most complex organ just sitting there, taking up space? That's the big question we're going to dive into. I mean, the fantasy is awesome, isn't it? Just think about it. If you could just flip some secret switch and tap into that other 90%, bam, you could learn a new language in a single afternoon, become a math whiz overnight, maybe even, move stuff with your mind. It's an incredibly powerful idea. Yeah, so about that, it's total nonsense. It's one of the most stubborn myths out there. But when you look at the science, it's just completely 100% wrong. So let's find out why. Okay, before we bring in the science to totally tear this myth apart, let's back up. Where did this wild idea even come from? Why do so many of us believe we're just walking around with most of our brain basically turned off? Well, it wasn't like one person just made up a lie. It was more like a massive, century-long game of telephone. It probably started way back with psychologists like William James, who talked about how we only use a fraction of our mental potential. But then somewhere down the line, that idea got repeated and twisted, and mental potentials somehow turned into a literal 10% of our physical brain. Science was trying to say, hey, you have the potential to learn more, and pop culture heard, dude, most of your brain is just useless. All right, let's get to the good stuff, the hard science. We have just overwhelming evidence that you use all of your brain. And we're going to walk through the 3 biggest reasons we know this for a fact. We're going to hit this from 3 different angles. First, the crazy amount of energy the brain costs, then what we can see with modern brain scans, and finally, what we've learned from the effects of brain damage. First up, let's talk about the brain's energy bill. Your brain is tiny. It's only about 2% of your body weight, but it is an absolute energy hog, consuming a whopping 20% of your body's total energy. Seriously, think about that from an evolutionary standpoint. Why would we evolve to carry around this massive energy-sucking organ if 90% of it was just dead weight? Evolution is efficient. It would have ditched that useless overhead millions of years ago. Second, we can literally see your brain in action. Thanks to amazing tech like fMRI and PET scans, we can watch the brain working in real time. And guess what? Even when you're fast asleep, your brain is buzzing with activity, controlling your body, consolidating memories. A good way to think about it is like a house. You don't have every single light in every single room on at the same time, right? But over the course of a day, you definitely use all the rooms. Your brain's the same way. And here's the crucial thing. While you use 100% of your brain, you definitely don't want to use it all at the exact same time. In fact, having all of your neurons firing at once has a clinical name. It's called a seizure. A healthy brain works because different parts do their jobs at different times in a controlled, precise way. And finally, the third point, which is the really unfortunate evidence we have from brain damage. Look, if 90% of the brain was unused, you'd think damaging those parts wouldn't do much. But we know from countless tragic medical cases that that's just not true. An injury to even a tiny piece of the brain can have devastating, life-altering consequences for our ability to speak, or remember, or move. There is absolutely no safe or spare part of the brain. Okay, so the 10% myth is totally busted. Does that mean we don't have untapped potential? Not at all. In fact, the truth is so much more amazing than the myth. It's time to talk about your brain's real superpower. So why do we cling to this myth so tightly? It's because it's a really comforting idea. It gives us hope. It kind of suggests that our limitations aren't really our fault. We just haven't figured out how to unlock that hidden brain power yet. It's a simple, cozy answer for a much more complex reality. So here's the real source of our potential. It's not some unused, dusty attic in your mind. It's something called neuroplasticity, and it is your brain's incredible, mind-blowing ability to change, to adapt, and to literally rewire itself based on your experiences. So how does that work? Well, every single time you learn and practice a new skill, doesn't matter if it's playing the guitar or learning to code or speaking a new language, you are physically forging and strengthening new connections between your neurons. Your brain is physically changing. You don't need to unlock anything, you just need to exercise the 100% you already have. So, we've established that we use 100% of our brain and that its real potential is in its ability to change. But here's the thing. Knowing that we use it all is a totally different ballgame from understanding how it all works. While that 10% myth is completely false, any neuroscientist will be the first to tell you that we have only just begun to scratch the surface of understanding the brain's incredible complexity. We know all the parts are being used, but that intricate, galaxy-sized network connecting them all, it still holds some profound mysteries. I heard a neurosurgeon put it perfectly. He said they'll see two patients with the exact same brain injury in the exact same spot. One patient makes a remarkable, almost complete recovery, and the other one doesn't. And right now, science can't fully explain why. That's the real frontier. That's the great unknown inside all of our heads. So the real takeaway here isn't just that you use 100% of your brain. The most exciting journey isn't about unlocking some mythical, unused portion. It's about exploring the vast, complex, and still deeply mysterious universe that you already have inside you. And the real question is, how much of that universe do we truly understand?